celebrating 17 years of Young Turks.
Hello and welcome to Young Turks, India's longest running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan. On the show today, we put the spotlight on Reliance Jio's startup acquisition spree and revisit the stories of our Young Turks Haptic and Reverie Technologies, whose AI-powered language-as-a-service tools are bridging the gap between the internet and Bharat. We also bring you the story of a made-in Koramangala startup that set out for a listing on the NYSE. We're talking about cloud communication platform Kalera. Well, it's no breaking news that Reliance Jio, that started its services in September 2016, disrupted the telecom sector in India. Cheap tariff plans and affordable phones won Jio the title of the youngest yet strongest telecom player in India. In fact, reports suggest that mobile data is now cheaper in India than anywhere else in the world. But what's next? In an attempt to take Reliance Jio to its next phase of growth, the company has been on an acquisition spree. There's a pattern in all of Jio's buying. All acquired startups are new-age, deep tech companies, and some of them have a strong focus on Bharat. Let's give you a lowdown. One of the first and biggest acquisitions made by Reliance Jio was in the online music streaming business with Saavn in March of 2018. Post the acquisition, Saavn merged with Jio's own music streaming offering, Jio Music. Now, in the same month, Reliance Retail, the consumer goods and electronics arm of Reliance Industries, picked up a 16% stake for $7 million in a US-based company called KaiOS Technologies. KaiOS is the maker of the software that powers all Jio phones. Jio then announced a strategic investment of $180 million in Imbibe, an online education platform powered by AI. To boost its IoT and 5G operations, Reliance Industries bought some stake in US-based telecom solutions provider Radis, that was in June 2018, for $74 million. In October 2018, the company made two strategic investments in Den Networks and Hathaway Cable and Datacom to further Jio's gigafiber broadband push. In March this year, Reliance acquired three software companies: Reverie Language Technologies, Surajya Services, and Sankhya Sutra. The most recent deal was struck with the conversational AI platform Haptic. Well, and here's the standard disclosure. Reliance Industries is the owner of Network 18. Network 18 controls and runs CNBC-TV18, the channel that you're currently watching. On today's episode, we revisit the stories of two of our Young Turks from this list, Reverie Technologies and Haptic. Bengaluru-based Reverie was set up a decade ago in 2009 when vernacular was not the next big battleground in the startup world. Co-founded by Arvind Pani, Reverie got scooped up by Reliance to double down its language localization efforts. While the startup will continue to run independently, Pani believes that Reverie's full-stack language solutions that include Indic keyboards, fonts and analytics make for a compelling proposition. Let's find out why.
We are not perceiving this as the end game. This is not our end milestone. Internally, we are saying that this is mid-camp for us. Our base camp was 2009 when we started. This is mid-camp. And our summit is what we are putting it as a mission 3x3, which means in next 3 years' time, we would like our technologies should touch at least 500 million people, in Indians. The second one is that in Indian language technologies, we would strive to be the best in the world. And the third one is that Indian language standards are currently not defined in India. So our ability to basically define those, influence those, and get those standardized and implemented.
Says Arvind Pani, who started Reverie 10 years ago in 2009, along with his brother Vivekananda Pani and S.K. Mohanty, with a mission to democratize the internet.
When our first relationship with Reliance happened, in fact, it started with providing a local language support for one of their hospital applications. Subsequently, when Reliance also started their big plans on Jio, the text technology which is there on Jio phones, like the keypads, font, rendering capability, and then of course a few applications which are there on Jio phones, all of those have been provided by Reverie.
Of course, Jio agrees, as the Indian business juggernaut has pumped in an investment of 190 crore rupees and plans to plow in more capital by 2021. According to the Kantar IMRB report, a market research, survey and business consultancy firm, the internet user base in India has exceeded the 500 million mark and is likely to reach 627 million by the end of 2019. Let me repeat that, 620 million by the end of 2019. The report further suggests that out of this, 293 million active internet users reside in urban India, while there are 200 million active users in rural India. An opportunity that Jio is not willing to miss.
Right now, extending our entire language stack, which includes voice, it includes our ability to understand user-generated content, and then of course we have also come up with a platform to be able to organize the entire translation services industry for Indian languages. So these are additional things that we have added since we started working with Reliance on Jio, and all of these things put together makes a very compelling stack for Indian languages. Any kind of analytics, whether it is sentiment analysis or intent understanding of the user-generated content, so Reverie has a solution for that. I can clearly see the alignment where Reverie could have a play. Definitely the devices, which means the phones and the set-top boxes. Any services that are delivered through devices, services like any applications and services through their phones and set-top boxes, and if they foray into something like e-commerce, right? So those are some of the areas that I can clearly see where there would be alignment.
Pani says that this acquisition will not restrict Reverie from working and partnering with other companies. So this, along with a clear alignment with Jio's vision, made Reverie, a company that was bootstrapped for 6 years, sign on that dotted line.
From an entrepreneur's perspective, it is not just strategic investment, but it is also financial investment opportunities, and it was a conscious decision for us to really bootstrap the company during our initial stages. We bootstrapped the company for 6 years before we raised our Series A funding. We were not willing to play the valuation game. The biggest reason for us to really consider this particular deal very seriously is impact. Now, when we started, our mission started with language equality on the internet. That mission has not changed for us, and we believe that if there is any company that can provide us the platform of that massive reach and impact, that is Reliance.
Going forward, the team at Reverie is looking to join forces with other startups from the acquired by Jio club like Savan and Haptic. Arun believes the only way forward is to collaborate and grow. Now, one of the startups that Reverie will possibly collaborate with is Haptic. Started in 2013 as a consumer-facing chatbot, that's when we first featured them on Young Turks. 5 years on, this startup has both enterprise and consumer-facing product lines and is focusing on conversational AI. And with voice being touted as the next big thing, it's no surprise that Reliance Jio acquired 87% in Haptic for 700 crore rupees earlier this year. So move aside Google Assistant, Alexa and Siri, because Jio now wants to leverage Haptic's platform.
Akrit and I, we started Haptic in 2013, so a little over 5.5 years ago. And, the basic premise of Haptic is, we specialize in conversational AI. As a lot of people keep getting connected in India and over the world, a lot of people are now going to interact with technology over voice and over conversation. So there's going to be a lot of conversation happening between humans and machines.
The products and the end way to get to market over these years has changed for us from being, let's say, a personal assistant app to being a platform for enterprises, which is building solutions for corporates to automate customer support. So that's sort of now more a scale and execution game of which companies can really break out and win in the long term. As far as the direct-to-consumer aspect is concerned, which is your digital virtual assistants like Alexa, Siri, Google Home, there where the space is that as you can tell and as we can all tell, that there's obviously a lot of investment gone behind making these assistants. There's also lots and lots of different ways to get these assistants to market, right from your smartphone to, let's say, a speaker but the actual repeatability, utility, and the stickiness, right? Like if I was to ask people that who can live without an Alexa, who can live without a Siri, most people will be saying, yeah, I'm okay without it, right? So I think that's where the larger battle is left over the next few years, is to really prove that out and make those products sticky. Why have the two companies come together, right? Why has Reliance and Haptic come together? The main reason is they have a big vision and thesis for sort of voice-based interfaces. The Jio phone, for example, has voice-enabled commands that you can use right out of the box. They are doing a lot more activity within that space. There's an app called My Jio, which is the default app everybody has to use. Within My Jio, there's already a voice-enabled assistant called Hello Jio. So they have a few of these things that they've done and a lot more that they have been doing. Similarly, now if you look at us, we have this underlying platform which has a set of tools, capabilities, and technology that allows you to build any kind of text or voice bot across different use cases. We have integrations that can go inside website, apps, devices, third-party softwares like Facebook, WhatsApp, Alexa. So we have this sort of horizontal technology layer built in. So now if you sort of combine the two, the possibilities become immense, right? Where now there is the platform as well as the distribution as well as the capability, all of these available all in sort of one large umbrella. It's going to be an independent operation that will do lots and lots of things, and we will leverage the strategic benefits that Jio has to bring in terms of distribution, subscribers and users wherever it is possible, and try and make this a large independent company and consistent with our thought of 5 years back we started, which is one of the world's largest conversational AI platforms.
One of the biggest things as you look at it, as the next couple of million users come online, you want to make sure you can converse with them in their language, right? In languages they are very comfortable with and languages they want to be able to converse, right? So you're not going to force the user to chat in languages that the machine can understand. It's got to be the opposite. And in India, I think that's kind of where the most exciting problem really lies, right? India is a very vernacular country, multiples of languages. And it's not just about the languages, it's also about the way people converse, right? So when people chat, they don't only use purely one language. They use, they'll usually everyone involves, and that's including you and me. When we talk in Hindi, we'll put in a few words of English, right? And that actually spreads across all languages. So, there's a lot of kind of, technology that's being built and kind of put into how do you make sure that you're able to converse in the language and the mediums and the way of conversing that the Indian user really does.
The team says they will continue to operate the enterprise and consumer businesses independently. Well, here's wishing the Haptic team all the very best on this new innings with Jio. It's time for a break on Young Turks, but on the other side, we bring you the story of a made in Koramangala cloud communication platform, Kalera. Keep watching Young Turks. Back, you're watching Young Turks, India's longest running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan. Now, back in 2009, Bengaluru-based engineering graduates Aniket Jain and Ashish Agarwal stumbled upon their startup idea while working on a college project. They set up Solutions Infini, a startup that helped offline sellers and businesses to keep in touch with customers via SMS advertisements and promotions. As the telecom sector evolved, so did this bootstrapped startup. In 2016, the duo found common ground and joined forces with Italian IT and telecom service provider Ubiquiti, and that's how cloud communication platform Kalera was born. Today, this made-in Koramangala startup is set for a listing on the NYSE, and Megha Vishwanath caught up with the founding duo to decode the venture, the technology that they've built, and get a status check on their listing. Listen in.
Aniket and Ashish, thank you so much for being with us on CNBC-TV18's Young Turks. Let's start by this conversation by talking about your startup journey. You set up Solutions Infini way back in 2008, which essentially helped offline sellers and businesses to keep in touch with customers via SMS advertisements and promotions. You have over the years rebranded as Kalera with your headquarters in Milan. Take us over this journey. Aniket, let's start with you.
Back in 2008, we started this company, and We started right after college. From 2008, we've been a bootstrapped, organically grown organization. We've been profitable from year one. So essentially what we do is we are a platform which provides messaging voice communication called, we now call it as a global cloud communication across the world. We have customers, around 3,000 plus enterprise customers globally that use our services.
Kalera today is actually an in-mobile messaging service for banks and companies. And as you said, you have over 3,000 plus clients globally. You also count clients like Uber, Amazon, Zomato, Swiggy, Flipkart, Myntra. You think of the big ones and they are on your client portfolio. Can you share with us a use case on how actually Kalera and your tech is working behind the scenes to help these companies?
So we are a B2B focused company, so which means our solutions is meant for businesses, for their consumers. So for example, let's say if you talk about Uber's case, Uber has various requirements for a communication platform service like ours. So let's say starting from let's say when you're doing the booking on the app, right, and you get a SMS saying that your Uber is on the way and you can reach out to the driver on so and so number, right? So that's just the beginning. Now let's say if you are not able to locate your vehicle, you have in-app, let's say you have a button to click on and you can call the driver directly, right? So we come in as a solution there. So let's say if the passenger wants to talk to the driver, he clicks on the call button. He's actually calling a bridge number, not the driver directly. So when the bridge number is calling, we are the ones who figure out through the integration with Uber that what would be the exact number of the driver you're trying to reach out to, and we kind of bridge those calls. So when that happens, obviously your privacy is maintained. Okay, your number is not going out to anybody. Okay, plus you're able to monitor about what conversation that really happened.
Let's take this conversation forward. Aniket, if we can rewind a little. Now, cloud telephony startups like Exotel and Nolarity also sprung up pretty much around the same time, or after a few years you guys set up, and they were also chasing the same consumer internet boom that we were seeing in India. That was to help small businesses and enterprises push out retail ads via SMSs and automated calls. So the model was pretty much the same. How did you at that point then manage to set your business model apart from these players?
So back in early 2008, 2009, what we realized is that we figured that text messaging is one of the critical part of customer communication, which every business needs, right?
Right.
We started in 2009 until 2011-12, we were largely a text messaging organization. What happened is that it's in 2012, early 2012 and 13, missed call messaging started. There's a lot of traction for missed call platforms started, and what happened is essentially a lot of our customers sort of came back and said, hey, can you offer us a missed call service or a IVR service on cloud technology? What we did is that gave us a sort of a product plan in terms of becoming a unified communication platform. So our journey has been slightly different. We've not traditionally started with some of the other guys who they've started as a cloud telephony. Our essential target is any business that needs multi-channel communication, which is text messaging, voice, WhatsApp, your email, your push notification, your chatbot. All of them can be unified in one single platform.
For sure. Now, Kalera has been a proudly bootstrapped venture for a large part of your growth cycle, while your competitors that I just named in my previous question did manage to raise funds. You guys chose to remain bootstrapped. So if I can go ahead and ask you, Aniket, was that a conscious decision, or was it because the space was too crowded and garnering interest from large VCs at that point was tough?
We started Solutions right after our college, so we had no clue of venture capitalists and all of that.
Right.
By 2013, when we reached out to a couple of VCs, they sort of gave us a feedback saying, look, you guys are good, but I don't think the industry that you're working is not very lucrative for a VC model. And some of the VCs actually gave us a learning saying, go back and build your business with profitable. And that's where we decided to build this organically. And at one point in 2011, we were just about 200, 300 customers. Today, we manage 3,000 customers globally. Right. And these are large enterprises, new age companies. We have largely focused on product development in terms, rather than going after, VC and getting into that whole clutter, which was challenging, but we had a lot of freedom to do.
Having said that, you did merge with Italian-based cloud messaging platform called Ubiquity in June 2018. I believe you actually made the connects at Mobile World Congress back in 2016. So talk to us about this merger and how did you guys decide to align, especially from the tech part. So Ashish, maybe you can take this one.
Sure. So back in 2009, when anybody asked us like which direction you want to move to, and we always said we want to be listed. We want to be a listed company. We usually go to a Mobile World Congress, which happens in Barcelona, and that's where we met Ubiquiti, an Italian company, and we obviously complemented in a lot of way because the Italian side of the business were extremely focused on the banking areas where we have like 95% of the banks in Italy working with us, and we have a premium solution which we offer there. So then we kind of looked at the platforms. Ours was a scalable platform, highly on let's say a cloud infrastructure, but the Italian side of the platform was only meant for the Italian side of the business, right? So, and then obviously we were also in consensus about taking this company to public. So that was the click, and complementing skills, I think together did work really well for us.
All right, it's interesting that you say that you wanted to be a listed company since 2009, and now that you've found common ground, you're all set to go public and list on the New York Stock Exchange. Give us a status update on that front.
So we've, as a company together, we're combining, we're about $100 million of revenue and running up to $126 million of revenue next year. The idea is to go combine these two entities and get into new product offering, which is a unified cloud communication platform, and then go get it listed in the. So our we have already done the SEC filing, and very likely that it's going to be around September, October we're going to go public. We have done this through a SPAC, which is a special purpose acquisition vehicle, which will give us a shortcut sort of a way to get into New York Stock Exchange, which would have essentially taken about 2-3 years.
Right.
But now it'll be almost like a 6-8 months. We've got this.
I know that both of you actually hold a minority stake in Kalera. You have, of course, assumed the role of being general manager for the global enterprise business, while Ashish is heading up as a CTO post the merger. Do you foresee any change in management roles post the listing?
The management role essentially will, in fact, will not change. And if you look at, I think, myself playing a global cloud role. So Kalera has the 3 business units, 3 business, I think, verticals. And I take care of the global vertical of enterprise product cloud offering. That is a global vertical.
Right.
Ashish is actually the group CTO. So in fact, this is a much better role from what we were sort of playing. Originally, we were more playing role in Middle East and India and Asia Pacific. But now this gives us a visibility of playing a global role. And I think this also gives an empowerment in the country like India, where people who are working with us, about 160 people based out of India, Bangalore, they also sort of get to next level in terms of their growth. And so we are now investing more. We're hiring around 50 people this year.
Right.
We're investing heavily on technology because we want to build great product out of India, which is globally acceptable. And that's our sort of a broad vision for next 2-3 years now.
All right, so I think it's safe to say that God bless those VCs who weren't impressed by you and refused to cut that check way back when you were trying to raise money. Otherwise, who knows how the story would have panned out. But Ashish, let me wrap up this interview by asking you, as the group CTO, what's next for Kalera from a technology standpoint? Of course, you found common grounds and access to newer clientele and newer markets. But from a tech point of view, in terms of innovation, what's next in the next couple of months for you guys?
Great. So I think this merger has brought in a lot of new opportunities for us, especially because we have teams across the world now. I've been meeting this team there, and we're trying to expand this team all over the world. So doing this, I think we're really bringing in a new way of bringing our platform out to the entire world, right? So our target has been CPaaS, so we want to be a unified CPaaS. We've been doing that in the past, but we want to do it in a better way now.
Aniket, final word on all those bootstrap companies who are listening to this interview as we speak, from Koramangala to Milan to now New York Stock Exchange. What is your learning that you would like to share with all the startups who are bootstrapped and who are on this journey of starting up?
Don't focus too much on VC money raising. I think if you believe in your own product, I think you should just go ahead and build that. Get your business model right, get profitability, focus. Profitability, I think, are the 2 learnings that I can broadly tell you today that has sort of given us a great direction in terms of where we are today.
Well, we'll be watching out for the listing right here on CNBC-TV18. But before we wrap, this week the Indian startup and business ecosystem bid farewell to Cafe Coffee Day's founder, Vijay Siddharth. His legacy lives on in every startup that was founded at CCD, every deal that was cracked over a cup of coffee, and every idea that was brewed over hours of conversation. As they say, a lot can happen over coffee.